Welcome to the Barbershare Podcast, where we help you to navigate the ups and downs of the business behind the chair, helping you to transform your state of burnout into a thriving success. And it is Black Business Month, the month of August 2023 at the time of this recording. And today I have a special guest with me that I think is going to add new value to this conversation about building businesses. And yes, it's Black Business Month, but if you heard my content all month, I'm more about building better businesses that just so happen are Black owned. So today we have Miss Alexis. I want everybody to welcome her as she just introduce herself and just tell me just quickly, just a little bit about who you are and what you do and what you've observed about the Black Business Month.
Sure. So my name is Alexis Donegan. I am a certified public accountant and owner of Alex Financial. I have over 5 years of accounting and tax space. I've worked with clients who've had revenue up to $500 million. When I was working for corporate, I then quit my job because I wanted to spend more time with my daughter. And now I'm working with small businesses, and I kind of use my expertise that I've learned back when I was working in public accounting to help other businesses grow. Now, in terms of Black Business Month, I think this is a great month to highlight Black businesses' achievements as well as our downfalls, which I know we're going to get into as this progresses. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you lending us your time. So when it comes to accounting and when it comes to like bookkeeping and stuff, just from my own personal experience, um, that's an area that I have miserably failed in keeping up in. But because I hustled most of my career, I never saw it as it being that important. I thought it was something like I'll eventually get around to it, and if I didn't, I didn't, because it was like I was making money, I was paying bills, but
hmm
it didn't become an issue until recently when I wanted to really grow and scale the business, and I started running into problems. Have you run into any of those experiences with some of your other clients and small businesses where they kind of, you know, made bookkeeping and accounting like optional?
sure. So, I run into this all the time. So, as you may know, I also do taxes, right? And a lot of the times when I'm doing small business taxes, I ask for a profit and loss statement. And 95% of the time, they don't have one. And if they do have one, it's not really a profit and loss statement. It's something that they just put together. It was like, here's what I made. My expenses is this. And even sometimes they just send me the receipts. And I say, hey, this is not a profit and loss statement. But, I think the problem is we don't see our businesses as sustainable, like something that we can pass down to our
Mm-hmm.
children. And so we go into business because we just need some money, to pay our bills. We don't really see it as anything other than that. And so we don't take like the main parts of our business seriously, whether it be operations, sales, or marketing. And that also includes the accounting part of it. Now, I think a big reason of that is because there is a lack of knowledge out there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, However, as I said before, we should operate our businesses as actual businesses instead of side hustles. And that includes investing in our education and what it actually means to run a business. I know we're in the age of like social media and we see like the glitz and glams of things, but we know we don't see, the bookkeeping portion of it. We don't see the tax portion of it. We don't see all the planning and strategizing of our businesses. And, all of this is important for sustainable businesses. We want to have businesses that we can actually pass down so our children don't have to keep starting from scratch. So yes, a lot of the times I see black businesses kind of neglect the accounting portion of their business.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. Can someone run a successful business, make some money, pay their bills, and not get into the nitty gritty of bookkeeping and accounting?
Um, yes, but it will be short lived
Be
because
sure.
now it'll be short lived because now you wanna buy a home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you want to get a business loan. Um, Now you may even want to sell your company, but you can't because you weren't prioritizing like the accounting portion of your business. So yes, I mean in the short run, um, maybe like the first couple of years, you can probably get away with it, but you eventually going to see that you're going to run into this roadblock, um, and the whole purpose of starting our businesses is that so it can be sustainable. And the majority of businesses fail because of cash flow issues, and those cash flow issues stem from not knowing your data and then doing something about it.
Yeah.
So yes, but it'll be short lived.
Yeah. Yeah. So I hear you saying that yes, we can make money, we can pay our bills, and we can go on and not really and continue to neglect this part of our business. But it gets to a point that if business actually gets good and you're trying to either scale or you're trying to benefit, like buying a home, car, house, and do
Mm-hmm.
normal things, you're going to run into some roadblocks. By this being Black Business Month, and a lot of businesses are getting started or they've been in business for a couple of months, what what are some ways that they can turn things around to build a sustainable business?
Sure. So I would say it all starts with education. Um, so for me personally, I look at like government programs that kind of educate us, and a lot of the times these programs are free. These programs are set aside specifically for small businesses or black businesses in general to seek out this education. And, like for me, I follow the Chamber of Commerce. I live in South Shore, so I follow the South Shore Chamber of Commerce here in Chicago. And they have so many like events, they have so many webinars and workshops for business owners to educate themselves on things that they may not even know that they need to know.
Yeah.
And so I think the first step is to educate yourself because a lot of the times, like I said, we don't know what we don't know, and bookkeeping and accounting is one of those things. And so I would say start there and also understand the importance, as I said before, we're in business because we want essentially we want to make a good living, we want peace of mind, we want financial freedom, we want the flexibility to spend with our friends and families. So use that as your driving force and actually go into these like these workshops and actually implement what they're saying, because these are usually coming from people who have successful businesses. And if you also want to have a successful business, why not follow and do what they're doing?
Yeah. That's good. That's good. So as a small business owner myself, and I'm a solopreneur, there are a lot of people that are just like me, where we just tend
Hmm.
to do everything ourselves. Is there is it more beneficial for us to really learn how to do our own bookkeeping and our own accounting, or is it an absolute must to hire a professional such as yourself?
Sure. So I would say in the very beginning, maybe like the first year, depends on how fast you're scaling. I would say every business owner needs to know the basics because when you do hire someone, you want to make sure that they're doing a good job. And how do you know if they're doing a good job if you don't know anything about bookkeeping or accounting? So, like I said, that foundational knowledge does need to be there. But also, when you're trying to scale, you don't want to have your hands in everything. You want to focus on your core business offering. And so, eventually, yes, you do want to outsource that work. Um, because we can't be experts at everything, right? So my expertise is in, bookkeeping and accounting. One thing I personally struggle with is marketing. And so, yes, I do know the basics of marketing, messaging and figuring out the algorithm on social media. But eventually, I'm going to hire someone because I want to focus on what I want to focus on in my business. This is what I came into business for.
Yeah.
But like I said, when I do hire someone, I do know what to look for.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's good. So just like you said earlier, like modeling yourself after the bigger companies. You don't see the CEO having their hands in every single thing.
All right.
I I really like that approach, and I definitely like that you touched on that the small business owner should, in the beginning, know at least the fundamentals so that they know who to hire, how to hire. What Are there any particular tools that you think the small business owner should get to do proper bookkeeping that they can keep in their business long term rather than they start with one program and then they get to the
Mm-hmm.
point, then they got to switch to another one? And,
Mm-hmm.
is it some ways or some tools that you've learned over the years that can grow with a business?
Sure. So QuickBooks is a accounting software where you can keep track of your transactions. So you can do your bookkeeping on QuickBooks. They do have something called QuickBooks Self-Employed. It's essentially for solopreneurs who aren't that savvy in bookkeeping. It's very simple. It's definitely for someone who's just starting out, who only knows the basics of things. And when you do eventually outsource, majority of bookkeepers or accountants, they are using QuickBooks for their clients. Um, so definitely QuickBooks. So with QuickBooks, you are able to categorize your expenses, and that's what a lot of business owners don't know how to do. They don't know how to categorize. They don't even understand. They don't even understand the basics. And so, maybe go on YouTube, um, figure out, how to categorize transactions. And then another important piece is business owners don't keep track of their expenses, and I'm sorry, not their expenses, their receipts. And these receipts are
I'm
important
guilty.
because in order to take a deduction, it needs to be backed by a receipt in the case of an IRS audit. And so QuickBooks has this tool that you can use. You can even download QuickBooks on your phone as an app, and you can take a picture of your receipts. If it's a physical receipt, you can take a picture of it and send it to an email that you already registered with QuickBooks, and it'll automatically upload the receipt to your QuickBooks account. If it's like an electronic receipt, you can just like forward the email to that. Forward the receipt to that email, and it'll automatically upload. And then when you're going in categorizing your transactions, you can match that expense to the receipt, so
Nice.
you're covered there. But QuickBooks is a easy tool to use. I don't think it's much of a learning curve. It's more so like just getting the fundamentals down of why you have to bookkeep and how to categorize your expenses.
Yeah, that's good. So that brings me to another like pain point that we
Mm-hmm.
run into. We look at it as this is another expense. This is another thing I got to pay for, and we tend to uh not everybody, but
Mm-hmm.
a vast majority of us would avoid having to pay for another thing because we're trying to keep as much profit as we possibly can. Um, What do you say about those of us who have businesses but we neglect to spend money back into our business?
It's a mindset thing. It's a scarcity mindset. We're scared to we have to figure out why we're scared to spend this money. The whole reason why we're scared to spend this money is because we're scared we're not going to get it back.
Mm,
And so that's why mindset is important in business, because when you're making these business decisions, it all should be centered around your return on your investment. So if you're doing your bookkeeping, right, and you don't want to pay your book, you don't want to pay for the QuickBooks software, you don't want to pay for an accountant, you could be losing out on money because of your mindset. You think it's just an expense when really it's an investment in your future, because the data that you can use your bookkeeping for, when you're bookkeeping and the data you can use, it can allow you to generate more income.
mm. How so?
And so basically, so your data basically gives you these insights. Like I said, a lot of people don't even know where their cash is going until it's too late. So like if you have someone on payroll and you're like, "Oh, I can't pay them." They weren't necessarily tracking their cash flow, but they could have known that this was coming, and they could have made decisions and moved some stuff around, budget or forecasted some things to avoid that. And as I said before, cash flow problems are account for 90% of business failures. And so your data will tell you this if you tracked it. And outside of like the cash flow area, you can actually use your data to compare to established and successful businesses in your industry, using KPI. So a KPI is a key performance indicator. So an example of that would be your gross profit margin. If I am in the accounting space, I can go and look up other industry insights and see what their profit margin is. If my profit margin, of course, is less than the average across my industry, there's something wrong, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not charging enough. Maybe my expenses are too high, or maybe my expenses, the things that I'm spending my money on, aren't giving me a return on my investment. And so I need to go back and reevaluate to see, how can I get my profit margin up. So yeah, so the bookkeeping is important because the data will tell you a story, and it will tell you what you need to work on in your business.
Okay, so this is interesting because I oftentimes, when I'm doing coaching, we talk about understanding the numbers. Are
Hmm.
you, as a CPA, confirming, for the record, that the numbers give you information to know what your next step in business should be?
Definitely. So a good business owner will actually look at their numbers every week,
Mm,
because you want to make decisions and you want to make them timely, right? You don't want to wait until, oh, now I have to do my taxes. Let me go and put together this profit and loss statement. You want to make it then in the now moment. So yeah, it's extremely important to continue to keep track of that.
yeah, and for people like myself that are creatives, right, and we don't always look at the numbers, we don't look at the data because it's all about the art.
Hmm.
Even words like cash flow, we may not fully even understand what do you mean by cash flow, and like some of the other terms. Like, is it important for us to know it first? What is it? Is it
Hmm.
important for us to know it? And how bad would it be if we just put that all off on a professional to just take care of
Sure.
all that?
So cash flow is essentially all of the money you have coming in and how all of the money you have going out. And so the money coming in could be, sales, it could be funding, it could be loans, it could be anything. Anytime your money, I mean your business has cash coming in, and then cash out would be expenses that you're spending on your business. And I like to give this example about the importance of cash flow, because a lot of people think profit and profit alone is the most important in a business, when really it's the cash flow, right? And so I like to talk about Uber, for example. So Uber hasn't been profitable, right?
Mm, really?
However, they have the cash coming in to sustain their business. They are able to meet their short term and long term obligations. But the short term obligations is really what's important, because, and this could be, just, paying for your QuickBooks software, or if you have an employee, paying for your employee, because usually you have to pay them every 2 weeks. And so that's how businesses fail, because they can't meet their short term obligations. And so cash flow is so important in that sense, because if you can't meet your short term obligations, you're really not in business anymore. We kind of see, like with the bank failures, what essentially happened was people were requesting, like they were withdrawing their money, and banks are only allowed, where only have to reserve a certain amount of cash in their bank accounts, in their reserves, to keep it in there. And so people were withdrawing this money, and the bank didn't have enough actual liquid, which is what we call cash, liquidity, to meet these short-term obligations, and the bank essentially failed. And this is a bank, where it's worth millions, probably even $1 billion, and they couldn't meet
Wow.
that obligation because they didn't have the cash there. Due to their investing decisions, they didn't look at their data, and so the cash flow issues can literally just shut down your business if you
Yeah.
can't meet those obligations.
Yeah. That's interesting. So I was having a conversation with one of my guys, and he wants to move in a direction where he's taking different type of services, but these services are far and few in between as of right now.
Hmm.
And we were having a conversation about adding in quicker services that are maybe lower in price,
Hmm.
that's quicker in time, just to keep the money in to become sustainable.
Hmm.
Um, is that a good way to think about that? If you have these larger ticket services that come maybe once a week, once every other week,
Hmm.
but you have bills that are due, is
Right.
that a good way to like think about that for the service provider to have maybe like a lower tier service just to
Hmm.
keep constant revenue coming in?
Yeah. So I would say definitely. Usually, from my standpoint, I do have my higher ticket services, but I also have the lower ticket services, and that usually comes in the form of like DIY, so like do it yourself bookkeeping. Um, and so it's more so of a product that I'm selling. So yeah, I would say you don't have to stick to one income stream.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Diversification is actually something that every business should take seriously, because you never know what may happen. You have these things that you really can't, you can plan for them, but you really don't expect it to happen, like for COVID example, as an example. So like with the commercial buildings, we weren't in buildings for like 2 years, and hopefully um someone on their accounting department or finance department maybe have thought about, maybe a pandemic could have happened. What can we do in this case? What other revenue streams can we have? And it doesn't even have to be like connected to your core business offering. It can be like investing in stocks, like your business can invest in stocks on its own. Um, so, yes, definitely have more than one income stream, and having that lower ticket item does count for that. Does account for that. Um, I would say, it also depends on your business as well. What you have to know your data. Like, what is your competition doing? So that's also important. What is working for them, and so yeah.
That's good. That's good. So, for a small business owner, someone who is, I don't know, obviously I'm a barber, hairstylist, so I speak for my community. I have a suite, and
Mhm.
in my private suite, I see ways that I could diversify the streams of income. Obviously,
Mhm.
services behind the chair. Then I have retail. What are some
Mhm.
other areas that somebody like myself may be missing out on that we could take advantage of?
Yeah. So like the real estate piece, like renting out booths, and even when the shop isn't being utilized, a lot of people record like music videos. Maybe they want the scene to be at a barbershop,
Yeah,
movies, like anything like that. So maybe you can. I'm not sure of a website, but I'm pretty sure there's one out there where you can like put your office space or something up to be rented out for content creators. So
yeah. Mm-hmm.
just getting creative with it, just figuring out what assets you have and how you can put them to work in order to make you more money.
That's good. That's good. I definitely appreciate I already have like some thoughts. Like one of the websites is Pure Space,
Mhm.
where you take a little bit of money, put it into the decor of the barbershop, and like you said, somebody wants to. I mean, barbershop culture is becoming super popular over the past couple of years, and you see a
Mhm.
lot of videos being made. So that's that's definitely really a good insight. Um, Black Business Month. Over the past couple of years that I've observed, you hear so many people say, "We buy black, support black," and I'm all for that.
Mhm.
However, the amount of businesses that I see promoted in the month of August and at the beginning of September, I don't see that throughout the year. I
Mhm.
don't see that at all. And I think a lot of those businesses end up failing because it wasn't sustainable.
Mhm.
Um, is there something that black businesses can do right now, even if they started off on the wrong foot, outside of just learning how to do the QuickBooks? I mean, because that could be a steep learning curve for some, especially if they're trying to sell their
Mhm.
products, whatever it is now. Is there something that they can do to sustain that business so that we hear more from them throughout the year rather than just this time of year?
Mhm. I think there's a lot of things that you can do. First of all, getting clear on your mission, why you're in business is extremely important. And then also actually investing in the business. A lot of black business owners, we're all bootstrapping, which means we're using our own money um, to basically make our business happen, and we don't apply for grants, we don't apply for loans because we already have this mindset there. I'm probably not going to get it, and then
Right.
we also don't have the data in order to apply for those grants and loans. So a lot of these funders, they want profit and loss statements, and if you don't have a profit and loss statement, they want a business plan, and so we don't have the documentation, which is very important in our business. But you know I guess all in all, your business can't be a trend. Like, everything kind of stems back to mindset. You have to figure out why you're in business and start from there. It just can't be a trend. It does. I feel like it does. It should be something that you're passionate about. Like for me, accounting and bookkeeping, like, I mean, yeah, it's cool and it's fun. Well, it's not fun for a lot of people, but it's cool and all. But I know that my entire purpose, or the reason why I'm in business, is because small businesses, especially black small businesses, are not sustainable. They're essentially side hustles. It's something that we do at a point in time in our life, and we don't really take it seriously. And I live on the south side of Chicago. When I go outside, majority of the business owners don't look like me.
Mm.
And so that there is my mission. My mission lies within that, is we need more sustainable businesses. We need more business owners who's making millions of dollars in their businesses. So, maybe they have an end goal of passing it down to their children, or maybe they want to sell it, whatever's going to give them that freedom. And so the mindset has to be there. We can't keep thinking in the short term. We have to think for the long haul, because we have a lot of life to live. And so I would just say, start off with the mindset. The mindset is everything. Mindset is literally everything. And if you go into it, just saying, "Oh, I just need to pay this bill," um, it may not work out for you in the long run. So
Yeah.
that mindset needs to be there. You need to know your mission, your vision, and your purpose of why you are in business, and
Yeah.
actually write this stuff down.
That's good. That's good. So you mentioned mindset a lot. Do you have any recommendations on books or resources to help with developing the mindset to even move in this direction of a cash flow positive, profitable, sustainable business?
Sure, I have a lot of books. I would say one for mindset is, I can't think of the author name, but it's called The Science of Getting Rich.
Mm.
It essentially talks about how whether you get rich or not is solely dependent on your thoughts and your beliefs, whether they are subconscious beliefs or conscious beliefs. And so that's a really great book. I like Rich Dad Poor Dad. I know a lot of people have heard of this one. Rich Dad Poor
Yeah.
Dad. It's another mindset book, really. It just compares like the mindset between the rich dad. The rich dad sees everything as an investment, while the poor dad sees everything as an expense. And that
Yeah.
we kind of touched on that. Um, I would say those two are the main ones. I'm trying to figure out. I know it's another one. I can't think of it at the top of my head. Um, I do want to recommend another book. It doesn't necessarily have to do with money or business specifically, but it's also a mindset book, and everything stems from mindset. It's called How to Lose Your Mind and Create a New One.
Oh, snap.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's that book is extremely deep. You can use it for anything, relationships, anything that we go throughout life. And it really, like when I read it, it really changed my mind. It really changed my outlook. It's kind of a scientific book too. They're going to be talking about quantum physics. They're going to be talking about how atoms operate. So, but it's one of the books that really had the most impact in changing how I think about things. So.
That's good. That's good. Do you personally have any training or workshops that you do that people can attend if they want to connect directly with you?
Sure. So I do have a 101 bookkeeping training. So we'll be covering all of the basics of bookkeeping. So the fundamentals, the terminology, how to categorize, how to actually use QuickBooks, how to set it up specifically for your business, and just how to use those reports to make better decisions in your business. Aside from the actual bookkeeping training, I do have like the outsourced bookkeeping services, which includes financial management and tax planning. So that's kind of the advisory side of things. Um, But all of it is to help your business grow. I like to call myself the transformational accountant, because when we think about accountants, we just think about the stuff we don't care about, like bookkeeping and taxes. We're just doing that stuff because it's required by law. But I'm the transformational accountant because I actually help businesses grow. We utilize that bookkeeper, what we're doing as a bookkeeper, to help your business grow. And then once we do help your business grow, we utilize tax planning to actually keep that money in your pocket so you're not paying it to the IRS. So everything about my process with my business is helping your business grow.
That's good. That's good. Alexis, thank you so much for joining us. There's a wealth of knowledge that I know that you have, and I believe that you added a lot of value in just understanding that yes, we can skate by and make money and pay bills by doing things any old kind of way. But if we get to the point where we want to take things to the next level and we want to grow, scale our business, pass it down to our children and grandchildren, or even sell it off so we can retire,
Hmm.
there's a point in time that there's a point in time that we have to make some real hard decisions to either continue to run our businesses like hustles or we model ourselves after real companies. And
Hmm.
I thank you for joining in on the conversation. And how can people get in contact with you if they're ready to make that decision to start going from hustling to actually running a company?
Sure. So my website is ilexfinancial.com. So that's ILEX financial.com. You can go on there and book a free discovery call and learn about all of our services. I'm also on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Lex, Lex, the CPA underscore. So Lex, the CPA underscore. And I'm also very active on LinkedIn as well. You can find me, Alexis Donegan, CPA, on LinkedIn as well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And I'll make sure
Thank
all
you.
of your information is in the description. Any last words in closing? And you can close us
Sure.
out.
I would say, as I've said throughout this podcast, is mindset is everything. We have to get our mindset in order, and everything else will follow.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I look forward to talking to you soon.